On certain nights, when the moon hides behind clouds and the wind whispers through the palm trees, you can hear a woman singing in the old quarter of Lagos. Her voice is beautiful but filled with sorrow, like rain falling on a wedding day. The elders know this voice. They cross themselves and hurry home. They know it is the spirit of Amara, still wandering, still carrying her secret. But to understand why Amara's spirit cannot rest, we must go back. Back to when she was alive. Back to when she was just a girl of 17, with dreams as bright as the Nigerian sun. This is her story. This is the truth she took to her grave. This is the secret that changed everything. Amara and her little brother Chidi lived in a small compound in Ajegunle, one of Lagos's poorest neighborhoods. Their home was modest, just 2 rooms with walls that leaked when the rains came, but it had been filled with love. Their father, Okonkwo, was a carpenter whose hands could transform rough wood into beautiful furniture. Their mother, Ngozi, sold vegetables in the market and had a laugh that could light up the darkest room. Amara was 17, beautiful as the morning star, with eyes that sparkled with intelligence and dreams of becoming a nurse. She would study her textbooks by candlelight long after everyone else had gone to sleep, determined to help people and make a difference. And Chidi, little Chidi, was only 8 years old, small for his age but brilliant beyond his years. Numbers made sense to him the way breathing makes sense to the rest of us. Their father used to say, "This boy will be someone great one day, mark my words." Then tragedy struck. It happened during the rainy season. Their father was working on a construction site when the scaffolding collapsed. He died instantly. For those left behind, nothing but pain. Their mother tried to hold the family together. She worked double shifts at the market, but the grief was eating her alive from the inside. 6 months after burying her husband, Ngozi fell ill with malaria. In a wealthy home, malaria is nothing. But in Ajegunle, where a single pill costs more than a day's earnings, malaria becomes a death sentence. Amara held her mother's hand as she died, feeling it grow cold in hers. The last words Ngozi spoke were, "Take care of your brother. Promise me, Amara. Promise me you'll give him the life we couldn't." "I promise, Mama," Amara whispered through her tears. She was 17 years old, and suddenly, she was all Chidi had in the world. The relatives came after the funeral. Aunts and uncles who had never shown their faces when times were good suddenly appeared with advice. "The boy should come live with me," said one uncle, who everyone knew drank away his money. "No, I'll take him," said an aunt who already had 6 children she could barely feed. But Amara stood firm. "Thank you, but no. Chidi stays with me. I made a promise to my mother." The relatives laughed. Some shook their heads. "You're just a girl," they said. "How will you survive? You have no job, no money, no husband." But Amara had made a promise, and she would keep it, no matter the cost. At first, she tried everything honest. She took a job cleaning houses for wealthy families in Victoria Island. She would wake at 4 in the morning, take 3 different buses, clean until her hands bled, and return home after dark. The pay was barely enough to buy rice and beans, let alone school fees. She tried working at the market like her mother, but she had no capital. She tried sewing, but she had no machine. Every door seemed closed. Meanwhile, Chidi's school fees were due. His uniform was torn. His textbooks were falling apart. And worst of all, he was hungry. She could see it in his eyes, in the way his clothes hung looser each week, in the way he pretended he wasn't hungry so she could eat his portion. One night, after selling her mother's wedding ring just to buy food, Amara sat on the floor of their empty room and wept. She had failed. She couldn't keep her promise. That's when her neighbor, Gloria, came to visit. Gloria was a woman the neighbors whispered about. She dressed in expensive clothes, wore heavy makeup, and came home at strange hours. But she had always been kind to Amara, sometimes bringing food when she knew they had none. "I heard you crying through the wall," Gloria said, sitting beside her. "I know what you're going through. I was once like you, alone, desperate, trying to survive. There's a way. It's not a good way. It's not a way anyone dreams about. But it pays. It pays enough to keep your brother in school, to put food on the table, to give him a chance at life." Amara knew what Gloria was suggesting. The idea made her stomach turn. Everything in her wanted to refuse, to say she would find another way. But when she looked at Chidi sleeping in the corner, so thin she could count his ribs, she felt her resolve weakening. "I can't," she whispered. "I want to be a nurse. I want to help people." Gloria interrupted gently. "You can still do all those things later, but right now, your brother needs you. And this is the only way." That night, Amara made a decision that would haunt her for the rest of her life. She would do it. She would sacrifice her dignity, her dreams, her very soul if necessary. But Chidi would have his chance. Chidi would go to school. Chidi would become someone. She would bear this burden alone. The next morning, she told Chidi she had found a job as a nighttime cleaner for rich people. "That's why I'll be gone at night," she explained. "But don't worry. This means we'll have money for your school fees, for food, for everything you need." Chidi hugged her. "Thank you, sister. When I grow up and become rich, I'll buy you a big house and you'll never have to work again." Amara smiled and held him close, her heart breaking. "Just focus on your studies, little brother. Make me proud." And so began Amara's double life. By day, she was the devoted sister, making breakfast for Chidi, walking him to school, helping with homework, attending parent-teacher meetings. She smiled and pretended everything was fine. By night, she became someone else entirely. She worked in hotels and clubs in the wealthy parts of Lagos. She learned to paint her face, to laugh at jokes that weren't funny, to pretend she enjoyed the company of men she despised. Each night felt like dying a little. Each morning she scrubbed herself raw in the shower, trying to wash away the shame. But she never cried in front of Chidi, never let him see the cost of his education. And the money went exactly where she promised it would. Chidi's school fees were paid on time, every term. He had new uniforms, new shoes, proper textbooks. When he showed interest in computers, she bought him a used laptop. When he needed extra lessons, she hired a tutor. She ate little so he could eat well. She wore the same clothes so he could dress properly. She denied herself everything so he could have everything. And Chidi flourished. He went from the best student in his class to the best in his school. He won competitions and received awards. Teachers praised him constantly. "This boy is exceptional," they would say. "He's going places." Amara would attend these award ceremonies, sitting in the back in her worn dress, and she would cry, not from shame, but from pride. Her sacrifice was working. Chidi was getting his chance. But the cost was destroying her. She couldn't make friends. She couldn't date honest men. She couldn't pursue her own dreams. The neighbors whispered and judged. They called her terrible names when they thought she couldn't hear. Years passed, and Chidi exceeded every expectation. He graduated from secondary school at the top of his class and won a partial scholarship to the University of Lagos to study computer science. Amara covered the remaining costs, working harder than ever, taking on more clients, more nights, more pain. At university, Chidi's genius shone. He created apps and programs that caught the attention of professors and businesses. By his third year, a tech company offered him an internship. Sister, he called, running home. They're paying me 200,000 naira a month. We're going to be okay now. You can finally quit your cleaning job. Amara hugged him, tears streaming down her face. I'm so proud of you, Chidi. None of this would have been possible without you, he said. When I finish and start earning real money, everything will change. I promise. And he meant it. After graduation, Chidi was hired by a major tech firm. His starting salary was more than Amara had earned in years. Within 2 years, he was promoted. Within 5 years, he started his own company. Chidi became one of Lagos's young tech millionaires. His company created payment solutions used across Nigeria. He bought a mansion in Lekki, drove expensive cars, wore designer clothes. His face appeared in magazines as one of Nigeria's 30 under 30 success stories. And Amara watched from the shadows with quiet pride. But success changed Chidi. At first, he sent money home and visited often, but as his business grew, the visits became less frequent. Once a week became once a month, then every few months. His new friends were wealthy people, investors, society figures. He began to feel embarrassed by his humble origins. When colleagues asked about his family, he spoke of his late parents, but mentioned his sister less and less. Amara still lived in the same small compound, though she had finally quit her night work. She was 32, worn down by years of sacrifice. She had tried to return to school, but she was too tired. The dream had died somewhere along the way. She would call Chidi. "Hello, little brother. How are you?" "I'm busy, sister. Can I call you back?" But he never did. She would text him. "I saw your picture in the newspaper. I'm so proud of you." His replies were brief. "Thanks." On her birthday, she waited all day for his call. It never came. He was at a party, posting photos surrounded by beautiful people in a world that had no room for a sister from Ajegunle. Gloria visited one evening and found Amara staring at his pictures online. "He's forgotten you," Gloria said. "No," Amara protested. "He's just busy." "He's ashamed of you," Gloria replied. "Ashamed of where he came from." "He doesn't know," Amara whispered. "He thinks I was just a cleaner." Amara had been feeling tired for months, but she ignored it. Then the cough started, the weight loss, the pain. When she finally went to the free clinic, the doctor said it, HIV, advanced stage, probably from her time doing night work. Without treatment, it had progressed too far. "How long?" she asked quietly. "Months, maybe a year with treatment." "But the treatment is expensive." Amara walked home in a daze. She should call Chidi. He had money now. He could afford the treatment. But when she looked at his social media, at his life of luxury, she put the phone down. She would not burden him. She had spent 15 years protecting him, sacrificing for him, hiding the truth. Why stop now? Her health deteriorated quickly. Neighbors helped where they could. Gloria was there every day. "Call him," she begged. "He deserves to know." "He's busy building his life," Amara said. "I won't ruin that." "You're dying," Gloria cried. Don't you want to see him one last time? I see him all the time, Amara smiled weakly. In magazines, on TV. That's enough. But it wasn't. Late at night, when the pain was worst, Amara thought of everything she had sacrificed. Her youth, her dreams, her dignity, her health, all poured into Chidi's life. And what had she received? Not gratitude, not love, not even acknowledgement. She had received abandonment. Yet she couldn't stop loving him. That was perhaps the cruelest part of all. I kept my promise, Mama, she whispered. I gave him the life you wanted. I just wish I had something left for myself. 3 days before she died, Amara wrote a letter. Her hands shook, but she wrote for hours through tears. My dear little brother, it began. If you are reading this, I am gone, and there are things you must know. Do you remember how I told you I worked as a nighttime cleaner? That was a lie. I sold my body. For 15 years, I was a prostitute in Victoria Island. Every night, while you slept peacefully, I did things that made me want to die. But every naira I earned went to you. Your school fees, your uniforms, your laptop, your university costs. Every single sacrifice I made was so you could have what our parents dreamed for you. I wanted you to become someone, and you did. You became everything I hoped for and more. But somewhere along the way, you forgot me. You forgot the price that was paid for your success. I write this not to make you feel guilty, but because the truth deserves to be told. I am dying now, Chidi. HIV. I contracted it during those years, and I am dying alone in the same small room where we grew up, while you live in mansions and party with people who have never known struggle. I called you many times. You were always too busy. On my last birthday, you never called. And still, I love you. That is both my strength and my curse. Remember me, little brother, not as a burden, but as someone who loved you more than she loved herself. Remember that your empire was built on my pain and sacrifice. I don't ask for repayment. I only ask that you remember. And please, Chidi, don't make the same mistake I did. Don't sacrifice so much that nothing is left. Live truthfully. Live remembering where you came from. I kept my promise to Mama. That knowledge is the only peace I take with me. When Amara died, Gloria was holding her hand. Her last words were, "Tell him I'm proud." The funeral was small. The neighbors came. Gloria called Chidi 5 times, but he didn't answer. She left a message. Your sister is dead. The funeral is Saturday. She loved you more than you will ever know. Saturday came. The small chapel was half full. The doors opened and Chidi walked in, dressed in an expensive black suit. People turned to stare. Gloria glared at him, then handed him the letter. She wrote this for you 3 days before she died, she said coldly. Chidi read it beside his sister's grave. He read it once, twice, 3 times. Then he collapsed to his knees and wept. Everything he had, every success, every achievement was built on her suffering. While he was celebrating, she had been dying. The guilt crushed him. He remembered her walking him to school, giving him her food, crying with pride at his awards. And he remembered how he had slowly erased her from his life. I'm sorry, he whispered to the grave. I forgot you. God forgive me. They say Chidi was never the same after that day. He sold his mansion and moved back to Ajegunle, to the same compound where he grew up. He renovated the rooms and turned them into a memorial for Amara. Her pictures covered the walls. He established a foundation in her name, helping young women escape prostitution and get education and health care. He poured millions into it, but nothing could ease his guilt. Nothing could bring her back. Nothing could let him say the words he should have said. Thank you. I love you. I see you. On certain nights, when the moon hides behind clouds, Chidi sits in that small compound and swears he can hear singing, a woman's voice, beautiful but filled with sorrow. Some say she's cursing him, but he knows better. She's not cursing him. She's watching over him, caring for him, even from beyond death, because that's what love does. It gives and gives, even when there's nothing left to give. Amara gave everything, and in return, she received nothing but forgetfulness. But in death, she received truth. Her story was finally told. Her sacrifice was finally known. And though it came too late, at least it came.